Welcome to Polonia, Wisconsin, a tiny town with a wealth of history. Sacred Heart Catholic Church is the heart of this small community and the largest organization in the local area. But what if I told you, if not for the determination of the Polish immigrants who lived here over a century ago, this church and the community that sprung up around it might not have existed here at all. Board by board, how the movement of one church constructed a community's history. In the countryside, almost 10 miles northeast of Stevens Point, Wisconsin, sits a crossroads. In the late 1800s, the area was christened by the Poles as Poland Corners, and indeed, many locals had Polish ancestry. Others were from a mix of different European cultures, such as German, Irish, and Norwegian. Many of the immigrants in the area were Catholic, and therefore petitioned the Roman Catholic Church to build a local parish to support the population's religious needs. St. Martin's was erected in 1858 to serve the entire community. However, differences in tradition and language created barriers as the Irish and Polish Catholics worshipped differently. It was not long before the Poles requested their own church. They got their wish around 1864. St. Joseph's was built less than a mile down the road from St. Martin's and only a few hundred feet from Poland Corners, today the crossroads of Highway 66 and County Road J. In traditional Polish communities, the church is often a center of social life. However, another staple of life back in Poland was the tavern. Like the community's church, taverns served as a hub of community conversation, and the perfect place for business is a crossroads in the center of town. Thus, 3 taverns sprung up directly on Poland Corners, adjacent to St. Joseph's. This arrangement became quite problematic for churchgoers. Men who had spent 6 days farming and logging with limited social interaction were suddenly tempted with socializing at the tavern instead of attending Sunday worship. With the taverns buzzing while church was in session, brawls and arguments in the neighboring taverns spilled outside, often disrupting church services. Father Buzinski served at St. Joseph's for only 2.5 years before deciding to leave. After his resignation, 4 priests went through the parish during the span of just 1 year. Finally, the order came from the leading diocese to cease church services at St. Joseph's. The Poles were left without their own parish for years. Eventually, around 1870, Father Joseph Dabrowski was assigned to the area. However, remedying the situation at Poland Corners proved to be a challenge. Dabrowski tried to negotiate, asking the taverns to close Sunday mornings, but the owners would not comply. Dabrowski found it impossible to conduct church services next to the taverns. He was compelled to come up with another solution. Dabrowski turned to Hannah McGreer, a local wealthy farmer. He bought a parcel of land from McGreer about 1.7 miles east from St. Joseph's Church. The agreement included a condition where only parish buildings could be built within a quarter mile of the church, guaranteeing a buffer zone that St. Joseph's did not have at Poland Corners. In 1872, Dabrowski and parishioners disassembled St. Joseph's Church piece by piece, much to the outrage of the tavern owners and some locals. Over the course of a few weeks, the wooden frame was moved and reassembled on the hill Dabrowski had bought from McGreer. Dabrowski named the place Polonia, which directly translates to Little Poland. As an immediate result of the church's relocation, a lawsuit was filed against Joseph Melcher, the bishop of the Diocese of Green Bay, and Joseph Dabrowski. The lawsuit was put into action by a man named Thomas Kuklinski, who served as the prosecutor. He was a tailor and one of the first Polish immigrant business owners in Stevens Point. However, his relation to the tavern owners at Poland Corners is unknown. The handwritten local lawsuit, dating back to 1872, has become almost illegible due to time and printing capabilities. Contained within is a summons for relief page, along with pages describing court and lawyer costs, and details about the case. It is likely that through the lawsuit, tavern owners asked for compensation due to the church's relocation, claiming that Dabrowski and Melcher wanted to ruin their businesses by taking away their patrons. Sources indicate that the lawsuit was lost at both a local level and when appealed to the Wisconsin state courts. With the relocation of the church, the area deemed Polonia suddenly found itself with a place to worship, and Dabrowski worked hard to open a school for students. He petitioned for Polish religious sisters to come to the area to help, and the Felician sisters made the long voyage across the Atlantic and set their first fruits in America right in small-town Polonia. The parish was not without difficulty, however, as over the course of 50 years, 5 massive fires consumed the parishioners' hard work. At least one of these fires, according to local legend, is said to have been caused by arson. Many locals still suspect the tavern owners from Poland Corners. Despite the opposition and devastating fires, Sacred Heart Parish has flourished to this day and continues to serve as one of the oldest rural Polish parishes in North America. The school, which remains in session, has educated thousands of children. The Felician sisters, after setting roots in this community 150 years ago, continued to spread, creating more schools and convents across the country. After the Felician sisters moved their mother house to Detroit, the Sacred Heart Convent became an orphanage which took in dozens of young boys over the course of about 40 years. Polonia as a community has expanded greatly. What was once only farmland changed significantly over the years following the church's construction. Starting in 1876 with the first store, businesses and homes were built close together, creating a center of town in the decades that followed. Ellis, the area where Poland Corners stood, has a much different history. St. Martin's in Ellis shut down long ago, and only a few businesses and homes remain along the highway. The old Poland Corners is still well-traveled and holds 2 taverns, but despite the benefits of the crossroad location, the area has not produced a sizable town. Not like Polonia, where the streets are lined with homes, where a children's park was recently built, and where a church picnic or the annual Christmas parade can bring in crowds of hundreds of people from around the area and beyond. A variety of businesses are prospering throughout Polonia today, and these businesses include the 4 popular bars that are up and running, acting as hubs of life for the community. Turns out, all you need is a little distance in order to keep both the taverns and the church successful. The movement of one church 2 miles east of where it originally stood built an entire town. Polonia is a strong community of people who have grown together, worked together, and lived together. This one parish has helped expand the influence of the Catholic Church and changed the landscape of Portage County, Wisconsin. The parish has not only shaped the lives of all who live here, but of countless people who have spread out across the county and beyond state lines. The moving of St. Joseph's may have originally been the result of bar brawls, but it ended up influencing the course of history for this local area and leading to an entire community of people living right here in the thriving town of Polonia.